Welcome. This is the Punk CX podcast. My name is Adrian Swinscoe, and I'm an advisor, best-selling author, Forbes contributor, and general explorer of the service and experience space. The thing I'm really interested in is how do we create organizations that produce better outcomes for both their customers and their people. This podcast has been running since January 2011, and so we have a big archive to explore. Check out the archive at adrianswinscoe.com. Before we get into the interview, I want to say a big thank you to the folks at Qualtrics. They are sponsoring this episode of the Punk CX podcast ahead of the annual gathering of experienced leaders at Qualtrics X4 in London, which is taking place on June the 6th. There you will hear about some of the best customer experience programs from industry leaders and companies including Belron, Allianz, and Adidas. To find out more and register, then head over to the Qualtrics website. So welcome to the next edition of the Punk CX podcast. With me today, I have David McIntosh, who is the VP and GM, no less, of Connected Stores at Instacart. Hey, David, how you doing?
Hi, Adrian. Doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. You're
very, very welcome. Now, David, for the benefit of our listeners and also people that read the highlights I put together on this, in the kind of the write-up I do when I publish these things, and for people that are not familiar with your work, and maybe not familiar completely with Instacart, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and also about the work that you do?
Yes, definitely. So I lead Connected Store at Instacart, which is really our effort to bring all the things that customers love about our online delivery experience, the personalization and convenience, into the store. And there's a number of different product lines within Connected Store that all tie back to that underlying thesis. The first is a product called Caper, which is an AI-powered shopping cart, which I'm sure we'll talk a lot about on today's episode. It's got a screen in front of the customer to deliver these delightful, personalized experiences, and it makes checkout really easy. So it's a seamless and inspiring and personalized experience. We also offer products like Carrot Tags, which is a software layer on top of electronic shelf labels in the store that actually connect to the Caper cart and connect to e-commerce pickers in the store to help them find things on shelves more easily. Third is a product called Food Store, which is digitizing the deli. There's an order management system that's associate facing. There's also a kiosk, a screen in front of customers. So you're hearing a common theme that a lot of what Connected Stores is about is really digitizing customers in the store, enabling customers to order more seamlessly, enabling them to have more personalized experiences. And then finally, there's also an experience called in-store mode, which enables customers to plan a trip to the store. So they can create a shopping list, they can clip coupons, and then they can actually take that experience and sync it to products like Caper Cart in the store. And so the beauty of Connected Store is not only does each product line itself drive personalized experiences, but they all connect to each other in ways that make the experience even more seamless. So you as a customer can take that shopping list you created online and bring it into the store. And so overall, what we're doing is we're unifying the online and in-store experience. Our vision is that in 5 years from now, customers won't have to choose between shopping in store or shopping online. It'll be one single unified mode that Instacart powers.
Yeah, no, so I'm sure we'll get into some of the detail kind of in a minute. But I what's interesting because I come across a lot of different innovations in the online retail space and then also in the offline retail space, but often there's not a lot of crossover. And so I was really, really interested to hear about what you were doing because you're known for your online grocery shopping and you were starting to reach into the physical retail domain. I mean, I don't know if they call that phygital. I don't know. That feels kind of slightly odd term, phygital. But anyway, the thing I wanted to understand, almost just to back up a little bit before we kind of dive into it, is like kind of you've told me about the different products you've developed and how they kind of all connect to each other. But like, what actually drove that change? Because it feels like you're starting to kind of almost like push into the store, which is the domain of some of these really big incumbent kind of like players. So like, what was driving that change?
There were two sources of inspiration, one from our users and one from our retailer partners.
Okay.
So let me start with the retailer partner side. If you actually look at Instacart's history, its DNA, really since the beginning, Instacart has been about enabling our retailer partners, helping them come online. A lot of consumers today think of Instacart as a delivery app, a delivery service, which is certainly true. But really, Instacart is a four-sided marketplace. It serves retailers, it serves users, it serves our shoppers that go into stores, and finally, CPGs. And so on the retailer side, going back 10 years, Instacart was going to retailers, building them e-commerce websites, giving them shopping capabilities, fulfillment capabilities, where shoppers would go to the store and pick orders. And so from the very beginning, Instacart has been about digitizing grocery, bringing grocery online. And as a result, we have extremely close relationships with our retailer partners. And when we were spending time with them, they were saying, look, Instacart, you've helped bring my business online. You've helped bring grocery online. But increasingly, I'm the retailer. I'm running into problems in the store. I'm running into labor shortages in the store. I'm running into very, very long lines. My customers are standing in line and they hate it. I'm trying to stand up omni-channel strategies to really digitize my customers, but I'm having challenges with that. And so our retailers, partners were coming to us with these problems saying, hey, Instacart, is there a way for us to partner and collaborate and help? Because retailers often think of Instacart as their technology partner. It started with bringing their business online, but increasingly with Connected Store, it's about digitizing their entire business, whether online and in-store. So that was inspiration one, the retailer side of it. The second source of inspiration was from our consumers. And so many of our consumers obviously love shopping online, but many of them are also omni-channel shoppers. They're shopping online and they're shopping in store. And they were coming to us saying, okay, Instacart, I love what you've built. I love the online experience. I love the convenience of the online experience. It's amazing. I love the personalization of the online experience. Is there any way that you could bring those things that I love about online into the store? Right. And so really the thesis behind Connected Store, the inspiration, sat at the intersection of our retailer needs as well as our consumer, our user needs, and really putting them together.
That's brilliant. I mean, I like that because it's like driven by kind of like an outside-in insight in many ways. It's it's actually leaning into kind of what people are telling you and actually going, well, actually we can drive forward with this. So I want to then now kind of sort of circle back to some of the products. I mean, am I right in thinking that a lot of this all hinges on the Caper Cart? Is it Caper Cart? I think it's Caper Cart.
Caper Cart, that's right.
And well, first of all, why Caper? and then is that the kind of the cornerstone sort of like product around this? What is a whole suite of technologies and products?
That's definitely right. We think of Caper as being at the center of it. We do, by the way, operate on the principle of modularity. So we see all the time retailer partners will start with other products. They might start with FoodStorm, for example, which is an order management system that digitizes the deli. And then because we've connected FoodStorm to the Caper Cart, because customers can order sandwiches and other fresh items directly from the cart, we then see a gravity start to develop between the product lines. So some retailer partners will launch with FoodStorm and then come to us 3-6 months later and say, hey, this is working really well. I've digitized the deli. I've made this investment. How else can I extend that investment? So then Caper becomes a logical next step. Similarly, we've seen some retailers start with us on carrot tags with Pick to Light, where e-commerce shoppers, Instacart shoppers, can go in the store and pick orders more efficiently, find things on shelf, reduces items that are not found for a customer's order. And then similarly, they'll say, okay, I've made that investment. How else can I extend it? Or a partner might have rolled out Storefront Pro, which is our e-commerce offering, and perhaps they're using in-store mode. And they'll similarly say, okay, I've invested in in-store mode. I have all these customers now on this Instacart platform, creating shopping lists, visiting my store. How can I extend that behavior? And then that connects to Caper. And so the beauty of Caper is that it's this screen in front of a customer as they're engaged throughout their shop for more than the 30 minutes they spend inside the store. And we're just scratching the surface of all the experiences that we can deliver on that screen. So it's everything as basic as showing a running total, which sounds obvious, but the reality is that the vast majority of grocery customers today are shopping on a budget, and it's really hard to do the math in your head. It's actually a really big problem for customers today to not know how much they're going to pay until they get to checkout. The other element of the screen is that it can connect with the online experience. And so we can enable customers to take shopping lists they built online, the coupons they've clipped, and bring it to the cart. We're also seeing consumers love being able to clip coupons from the retailer on the cart, view offers, view flowers. They're really using the screen as a way to decide what to put in their basket and what not to put in their basket. Mm-hmm. But then finally, the piece that I'm most excited about with the cart is the opportunity to really make the experience delightful, make shopping an adventure. In fact, we often hear that word from our customers. I spend a lot of time with customers in the store talking about why they're using our products. And this word adventure comes up a lot. And often it's because if you look at the way the experience is built with the lights and the sounds, it's fun. We often see family shopping, and no joke, the kids will come up to their parents and say, "No, let me scan." They insist on scanning items and putting it into the cart. It's fun. It's a game. And so we're leaning into that with gamification capabilities. So we built sort of a spinner-like experience where at the end you can spin a spinner to win a prize. It could be loyalty points. It could be extra discounts on items. It could be exclusive items, things like that. With that screen, you have an opportunity to engage customers for that 30 plus minutes they're doing the shop, not only connected to the online experience, but then layer in all kinds of these gamification experiences that really make shopping in store more fun, more delightful, more like an adventure.
I think it's also going to, it feels to me that there's also going to be a high degree of utility in there. And I think about it myself. It's like when I go shopping, I sometimes make lists. I invariably, if I don't make a list, I usually forget things. I think that might be to do with my advancing years or the amount of kind of gray hair I've got on my head now. But I guess actually creating that, but also kind of having it sync with something where you can get, tell me if this is how it works, where you can load up, here's some things I want. But then does the kind of the technology then alert you when you're in proximity to those things around the shore? They're like, oh, don't forget the coffee, and boom, don't forget the oat milk, or don't forget that, that, I don't know, some red onions or a bottle of wine or whatever it might be. Is that kind of how it kind of works? So then it makes kind of like aging kind of gentlemen like me kind of like feel kind of less kind of insufficient.
Yeah, you've described a lot of the magic of the product. So, and maybe backing up, one thing I did mention earlier was that you could think about the cart as a set of sensors. Mm-hmm. So we have camera sensors that identify what goes in the basket. And then we have a weight sensor. It's a weights and measures certified digital scale, which is extremely difficult to pull off, that will weigh items. And so it can detect, for example, when you put produce in the cart, will detect the weight, so you can confirm the weight on the screen. You don't have to go to a separate scale to weight items. And then third, there's a location sensor within the cart as well, which is accurate down to a couple feet. And that can start to deliver the types of location-based personalized experiences that you've described. And so the way it works today with the list is almost exactly as you described. You sync the list that you built online. And then it has that running list on the side of the screen. And actually, as you put items into the cart, it will cross things off the list that you've added. And only the items that you haven't added remain. And it will actually put aisle numbers on those items.
Okay.
The next step in our evolution, as you described, is to start to notify customers when they haven't bought things that were on their list. So you can imagine you're starting to roll your cart to the checkout area. You forgot something on your list. We should probably notify you, hey, this is a thing that was on your list that isn't in your cart. Did you forget to buy it? Right? It could make it super, super useful. But there's also a lot of other opportunities for that as well, which is looking at, for example, when you sync your list, you can also sync your buy it again history if you want. Right. And maybe we know that, for example, you bought trash bags about 4 weeks ago. And we know that you typically buy trash bags every 4 weeks. And this is your 4th week. And so we say, hey, maybe you should remember to buy this as well, right? And so now you can start to imagine how this platform that we built can be incredibly powerful, not just for retailers in surfacing new items, exclusive items. Going back to the deli example, you can imagine rolling the cart near the deli, and it says, look, you always put the sandwich order in. Do you want to put it in this time? And the beauty of the FoodStorm integration is that it will actually notify you when your sandwich is ready to pick up.
Right.
And so there's no waiting in line. Similarly, you can imagine the power of this platform for advertisers. We launched Caper Ads at CES in January, and the reaction from CPGs has just been incredible. And I think many CPGs have had a lot of ideas like the ones you mentioned, Adrian, where they're saying, look, okay, I can leverage the location of a customer in the store. I can leverage the shopping list. I can leverage the sensors in terms of what's going in the cart to really provide recommendations that are useful to customers, that inspire them to try new items or come back to items that perhaps they tried in the past, but it's been a while since they last bought it.
I think the thing I wanted to ask about, go back and then build on the ad side of things, because the checkout experience. I mean, is it that we're possibly seeing the emergence of a almost like a third aisle, or not third aisle, a third sort of like checkout option? Because there's the face-to-face one where you go and somebody bags your stuff, or you bag your stuff, and then you can check out and then you pay a person. There's the self-serve thing, which is all that sort of stuff. And then there's the stuff which is, there's almost like no checkout because it's done via the technology. That was, I know that Amazon Go sort of played around with that, some of those ideas. I mean, how does it work for this Instacart kind of offering when you're approaching checkout? Does you automatically get checked out, or is there some sort of like process to go? How does that work?
Definitely. There's often a checkout lane, a priority lane. Okay. For Caper carts. And so a customer can pay directly on the cart. There's no login required. They can just tap their credit card. Often there's a payment terminal on the cart. And then the cart lights up green, and then they're allowed to grab their bags and exit the store. There are some other ways that we integrate depending on our retailer partners' preferences. So for example, some retailers would like us to start by integrating with self-checkout systems in the store. And so the exit experience is one where you get to the self-checkout system, you scan a code in the cart, and then you leave. Although we think the way it's going to end up is, generally speaking, checkout directly on the cart because it's just so frictionless and seamless for customers. We're also starting to do integrations where we'll pull in, if the customer logs in with their online account, we'll give them the option to pay with that online account. So they don't even have to take their credit card out of their wallet. And so I definitely agree with you that we're seeing the emergence of this third type of checkout. Right. But what's interesting about this third type, the Caper experience, is that the value proposition is less about the checkout experience itself and more about the screen. And I think that's what's misunderstood about Caper. People initially think about it as, this is fast checkout. This is skipping the line. And certainly that was what we thought initially 18 months ago when we launched Connected Stores. And, I gave the pitch to our retailer partners, to press, talk to customers. I generally led with, it's convenient. You skip the line. And that's certainly part of the value proposition today. Customers, when you talk to them, tell us they love skipping the line. They love that seamlessness. But it's actually not the number one value prop. If you talk to customers today, they'll tell you the number one thing they love are capabilities extending from the screen. It's the running total, being able to see how much you're spending. And again, it seems like such a basic thing, but it's just such a killer thing for customers. And that's, by the way, not a capability you can get with a just walk out experience, right? Number two is coupons, being able to access the retailer coupons on the screen, make decisions around what to put in the basket, what to take out based on those coupon capabilities. Number three, you're often hearing gamification. It's the spinner. It's the things that make shopping adventure. Then number four, interestingly enough, it's still often not skip the line. Number four is often bag as you go. Right. It's the independence. Okay. Because there's a lot of customers today who want an independent shop. And so they'll go to self-checkout, even with a very large cart. But it's very difficult and cumbersome at self-checkout because when you get there, you've got to put everything back in bags in your cart. You've got to take things out, put it back in the cart. It's a huge fuss. And so we hear from customers that they really love that ability to bag as they go, shop independently. And then finally, that last item is skip the line, convenience. And of course, customers love it. I don't want to underplay that value prop, but it's really notable that what we're seeing over the last really 18 months since we launched Connected Store is that the number one thing that customers love about the experience are these capabilities extending from the screen. And I think that just shows the power of digitizing customers. We're just scratching the surface of digitizing the experience in the store, which then enables us to partner with our retailers to start to deliver these amazing omni-channel experiences that engage customers in brand new ways.
Perfect. I mean, I think so one thing I wanted to come back to was the the idea about you can serve up these, the ads and the offers and the recommendations, all these different things as you go, and that might be related to your list, or it might be related to your previous shopping experience and all these different things, or it might just be like a promotion as well. But then that's all very push, as it were, out to the customers and trying to inform them. I mean, is there a pull element to this as well, where somebody can go hit the big red button? I'm not sure what's going on here, or is that not kind of part of it right now, or how does it work in terms of the store maybe helping customers, particularly if you're in a large store, right? And people go, I sort of need some help here. There's this place is enormous. I'm lost. Where do I go? How does a customer go hit the big red button and go help?
Totally. Yeah. The approach today is more proactive, meaning that we equip retailers with software called the Caper Cloud. And the Caper Cloud allows them to keep an eye on all of the carts in the store. Where are they? How many are in use? Are they active? And so forth. And so we provide capabilities to where a retailer can go and figure out a customer needs help and go and proactively help them.
Okay.
We've also considered putting UX on the cart that would enable a customer to ask for help. But generally speaking, we've seen that customers quickly get the handle of how to use the cart. And so our approach is to figure out how do we anticipate what the customer needs are and productize that, bring that functionality on the cart, and or enable our retailer partners to proactively understand this customer needs help and then help them out. And more broadly, what I would say is that when we think about the stakeholders that we're serving, I mentioned earlier, Instacart itself, Instacart Marketplace, is a four-sided marketplace. It serves retailers, users, CPGs, and Instacart shoppers, people who go in and pick the order. Connected Store is very similar. It's a very similar ecosystem. You've got users, you've got retailers, you've got CPGs. And that fourth constituent are the associates in the store. And so what we've seen is it's critical to build the right tools and build the right product so that associates can help with the adoption. So another example, I mentioned Caper Cloud. Another example of this is stackable charging, where the carts will charge if you just push them into each other. The back panel pops up and they all connect to each other to charge. The problem with other approaches in the market, like plugging in the carts individually, is that takes a ton of work. Associates hate that. They don't want to do that. And so as a result, you end up with
also more space as well, and logistically complex and stuff as well, because you get like tangled wires and all sorts of things.
Exactly. So that's another example. It seems simple, it seems subtle, but it's highly impactful in actually enabling the cart to scale in the store. And so modularity is one of the other principles behind Connected Store. How do you build the products so that they can stand on their own and so that they don't require a lot of operational effort from the associates in the store? Because if they do, then that really hinders the adoption of those products. And so you need associates to really find the products easy to use, easy to operate, easy to maintain for them really to grow in adoption in the store.
Excellent. So I want to then go back to the kind of thing you talked about, the benefits that, or the feedback that you're getting from users about what they kind of like. And one of the biggest things was being able to use coupons, having the running total, all these different things. And that speaks to, I guess, the economic environment, right? And the financial considerations that many people are under right now. And I think that is those pressures, those financial pressures are people are feeling the pinch in many places and having to be conscious of their budgets, whether you're in the States, you're in the UK, you're in Europe, wherever you are in the world, right? And so I think that's a really interesting kind of thing because people are being very conscious about that. And I remember doing I do a predictions piece every year for Forbes. So one of the predictions that I made was that I curated out of all the themes was that the retail space was going to start to play a bigger role in the whole service and loyalty space because of that. A retailer's ability to drive loyalty, to drive engagement, to offer the most appropriate discounts, all these different things by building up, but also to provide sort of augmented service to that. And I guess, do you think kind of your tech is going to help with that? Is that kind of it becomes that kind of connection layer within the store?
Exactly. And in fact, speaking about loyalty, we already see very high loyalty login rates into Caper for retailers that offer a loyalty program and offer the capability. So we're already seeing that play out today. We've also seen evidence that it increases loyalty adoption. You've got this screen in front of a customer. They're looking at other people in the store, enjoying the experience, seeing the gamification.
Is there a bit is it a bit like you've got Caper carts, then you've got regular carts, and people are wandering around doing Caper carts going, you're a Caper. Yeah. It's like, I got you.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely see there is a viral element to these carts. To give you an example, on TikTok, we see when we launch in a new store, there's people posting videos of the cart, organic users to be clear, and these videos will go viral. We'll often see, it'll be somebody with 800 followers, 900 followers. They'll post one of these videos and it'll get hundreds of thousands of views over the course of a couple of days. And so people notice the carts and they notice the behavior on the carts. So if they see somebody winning a prize, spinning the wheel, these are all things that, go viral within the store and inspire people to use the cart, which then drives the retailer goals like loyalty, for example, getting people to engage with the loyalty program. If you think about retailers' loyalty programs today, they don't have that many touch points in which they can engage with you as a customer.
Sure.
They can engage with you at the traditional checkout lane. You punch in your code and, they can engage with you at home. Traditionally, they would send a flyer. Now they send an email. But the beauty of the cart is that now retailers have this screen in front of you for 30 plus minutes where they can engage with you as a customer in a number of new ways. And so I think we're just scratching the surface of the types of experiences we can deliver. The gamification experiences we're delivering today are fun. Our customers like them. They describe it as shopping. It makes shopping an adventure for them. But we're really just at the beginning of bringing together the sensor data on the cart, the cameras, the location, the weight, the screen to make it really, really fun for customers and enhance the goals behind those loyalty programs.
Perfect. I mean, I think it's great. I think that if I think about it through the lens of, I'm quite a functional shopper, right? And I look at things through the lens of jobs to be done, as it were. And you're thinking, going, this is my job that I have to do. Kind of like, can you help me be successful as quickly as possible? But many people are like that, because maybe they're not big shoppers in inverted commas, but they do it, but they want it to be as easy and friction free and convenient as possible. So I can see how that would work. And actually, if you help me get that job to be done, as it were, kind of done super quick, super easy, then I'm going to be like, well, I'm just going to keep going back to that because that's an attractive thing in of itself. Over and above any of the gamification and the personalization and anything else, it's a bit like, help me do my thing. And then I'm in that, and I'll keep going back to that convenient, quick and easy experience every time. But David, help me understand this. I mean, do you have a couple of examples of clients that are sort of leveraging this approach in technology? Because I think what's interesting, I mean, it's fascinating. All the different modular bits, all the different product lines, all the connectability, all of that type of stuff. Brilliant. But then you go, whoa, some people might be listening to this and going, this sounds really complicated. And I'm going to have to shut down my store for like weeks or stuff to get this all kind of like done. Help me understand a bit from through some maybe some a couple of examples of clients that you work with, what they've done, how they've achieved it, what the outcomes they've achieved, and how long has it taken them to achieve the outcome, just to give us a flavor of kind of like where's the kind of like what's the lift and where's the kind of like where's the effort, what's the return, as it were.
Definitely. Yeah, at a high level, we're seeing an incredible amount of momentum in the market, and retailers often see results in months, sometimes weeks after launching. In a prior earnings call, we announced that in addition to rollouts with players like Kroger and Wakefern, players like Schnucks are agreed to launch Caper Carts. There's players like Geisler's that are planning to replace the majority of their traditional shopping carts with Caper Carts. So we're really pleased with all the retailer momentum we're seeing. And to underscore a point earlier, retailers don't have to pick all the products at once. They often will choose one product and then stack them on top of each other, like building blocks. And the products are really built to be modular. So a Caper deployment doesn't require a retailer to shut down their store, disrupt their operations. They can just integrate the carts into the existing workflow. The beauty of Caper is it extends an existing behavior. People already shop with traditional carts. And so to give you a very specific example, we launched with Schnucks with Caper Carts a couple of weeks ago. They introduced the carts to stores in the St. Louis area, and we've been seeing an overwhelmingly positive response, not just from customers, but the Schnucks employees as well. And people can access their Schnuck rewards on the cart. They love the couponing experience. We hear from customers that they love shopping at their own pace. They love shopping, independently. We're seeing tons of usage at the store. In fact, there was a media day last week where it was a joint media day between Schnucks and Instacart. And there was one shopper we talked to, a senior citizen that had already used the cart 8 times. And I think the store had opened like 2 weeks ago or something, right? So just a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and repeat usage. We were seeing over the weekend, because we only have 10 carts in the store right now, we're seeing over the weekend, no joke, people were waiting in line for 5 minutes to access these carts. And so there's just a tremendous amount of consumer love for these products. We're seeing the NPS score on these carts is very high, and consumers really love the way that it makes shopping an adventure, as I've referenced before. And from a retailer perspective, the benefit is, one, digitizing their customer, the omni-channel benefits, but retailers are seeing basket size increases from people shopping, because going back to the point around the running total, so many customers are shopping on a budget, they actually will underspend because nobody wants to get to the traditional checkout line, have to put items back, hold up the line, and so forth. So people will underspend on Caper because they understand that running total. The basket size we've seen is actually higher. And then second, with the introduction of Caper ads, we've now unlocked a new revenue stream for our retailer partners. And so we've seen the ROI behind a Caper launch is quite fast, often under 6 months, sometimes even faster.
Awesome. That's brilliant. I mean, I like the idea that people are queuing up to use the Caper carts. It shows you that it's a different and but also attractive kind of thing, which is great. So it's great to hear, and great to hear your senior citizen kind of has been there 8 times. I think that's possibly quite problematic, 8 times in 2 weeks, but that's a completely different issue. He's developing a love affair with your Caper cart. But that's brilliant. Thank you, David. I mean, and that's really interesting. And I encourage people to go and check it out, because actually, I've seen pictures of some of this stuff as well, and they look super cool, which is great. But is there anything else you'd like to add or highlight that you think we've missed out before we sort of wrap up and I ask you some sort of quick fire kind of questions to finish off?
I think we've touched on most everything, but what I would really leave everybody with is that Connected Store, really at the heart, is about the screen and digitizing customers in the store and the power of that screen. and what you can do in terms of delivering these personalized experiences, whether it's on the Caper screen, whether it's on the FoodStorm kiosk screen that lets you order ahead, whether it's the screen in your pocket through in-store mode that lets you plan a trip to the store. It's all about digitizing these screens, putting these screens in front of customers, connecting the screens, so then it unifies that online and in-store experience. And then to your point earlier, doing it in a way that's modular, doing it in a way to where there's fast ROI for retailers, doing it in a way where you don't have to mess up your store and move things around, but then finally doing it in a way that also taps existing consumer behavior. The beauty of the Caper Cart as a technology is we've all used carts before. We don't have to learn a brand new behavior. This is just a better way of doing something that we've done in the past.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's perfect. Thank you. So here's a few quick fire questions before we finish up. So we've talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and you speak to lots of different people, whether they are retailers, CPG, brands, whether they are consumers, all these different people. I mean, so you're sort of immersed in this sort of like particularly the grocery space. So what would be your best advice to someone listening in that wants to improve their, say, customer or employee experience? Or as I've been doing recently, I've been asking people to complete this sentence, which is, if you want to improve your customer employee experience, David McIntosh says, do this, ... David, over to you. How would you complete that sentence?
Within the grocery and retail industry, I would say it starts with digitization. It sounds obvious, but for the vast majority of customers, their experience is not digitized. Retailers do not have digital touch points, deep digital touch points with the vast majority of their customers. And yet that's the reality in the way that the vast majority of customers are shopping in these stores in store today. And so the opportunity starts with digitizing those customers. And once you digitize them, you can measure them, you can study them, you can optimize for them, you can monetize them. But it starts with digitization.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, my next question is, obviously, it has to be a punk one. This is the Punk CX podcast after all. So what I'd like to ask is, what company or brand do you think takes a punk approach to customer experience, or is an experienced leader, and why?
Well, first off, one of the things that really struck me about the punk approach was being really close with customers, staying extremely close with customers, listening to what they say. And so the types of products that are most impressive to me are the ones with many stakeholders, where not only do they have to listen to one type of customer, but they have multiple customers. And so inherently, it's marketplace businesses that are multi-sided marketplace businesses that are really impressive to me, where they have to talk to different stakeholders, and often the stakeholders will say conflicting things. And so you've got to listen to customers, but you often have to sort out the conflict and figure out how do you balance the approach so that it's a win-win-win for everybody. And I described earlier Instacart as an example of multi-sided marketplace, Connected Store as an example, I think of a multi-sided marketplace serving multiple stakeholders. An example of an external player that I think does it really well is YouTube. If you think about YouTube, it's a marketplace, right? You've got content creators, you've got users accessing the platform. And I think what's really interesting about the product is, many people look at the visual elements of it and say, hey, it hasn't changed all that much over the last number of N years. But if you look at the innovation in the content rights tools, the content licensing tools, the things that made it possible for creators to put content on the platform, to monetize their work on the platform, it's been really, really powerful. And so I think it's a great example of how you can't just listen to one customer archetype. You really have to listen to all of the stakeholders that are accessing your platform to really build a product that's great.
Fantastic. Thank you. What a great example. And then my final question, and I've been asking these over the last kind of few months, because I sometimes feel like I'm doom scrolling every morning on my first cup of coffee. When I wake up and it's the news, I'm like, oh no, look for the sunshine. Where's the sunshine? And there doesn't seem to be a lot of it about. But maybe that's something to do with winter. Who knows? So therefore, to ask people, I've been asking people to kind of let's end on a positive or a good news story. So David, help me please. Tammy, what's the most interesting, positive, or exciting thing that you've seen in the last week?
For sure. I'll go back to the Schnucks example. It was just so exciting to see people stand in line for 5 minutes waiting for these caper carts in the store, waiting to use them. They had heard about it from a neighbor. In some cases, they had heard about it from friends. They had heard about it in the news. They just wanted to try it. Or in many cases, they'd used it before and they really wanted to use it again. And what was exciting about that for me is it also spoke to the broader proposition behind the cart. It's not just about skipping the line. It was about skipping the line and you wouldn't wait for 5 minutes. It's really about providing a more inspiring experience in store, a personalized experience in store, taking the magic of online, bringing it to the cart, and really making shopping an adventure for everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I think that if I'd seen that, I think I would have smiled as well. I think I would have smiled actually kind of listening to this kind of senior citizen as well, because I think that's just kind of cool. Somebody who shows that age is no barrier to engagement, right? You do something and it's just like, people just kind of get it. If it works and if they see value, they get it. And so it's great to hear about particularly that gentleman and also the people waiting in line. So that's all I have for today, David. I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your expertise and insight with me today. Congratulations on the launch and the success of the connected stores kind of products. We look forward to hearing kind of more about it as we go on. But yeah, just thank you once again for spending some time with me today on the podcast. It's been awesome.
Likewise, thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Find out more about me and the work that I do at adrianswinscoe.com. Do leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you have any comments, feedback, or questions about the podcast, then feel free to send me a message to podcast@adrianswinscoe.com. Do tune in again. Thanks very much.